Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trek on Tuesday. We've got an exciting show for you today. We're talking all about messengers of peace. You see Brad and Elizabeth, who we're going to introduce you to in just a second, but they are key volunteers in this program. But I want to start today's show with a question. On our uniforms, we all have the Messengers of Peace emblem. Do you know where and what that looks like? Let us know in the comments. Just take a guess if you don't know, but we're all representing Messengers of Peace. And on that note, Aaron, what are we talking about?
Yeah, great introduction, Gina. Thank you so much. You've all seen the Messengers of Peace logo, whether you realized it or not. And today we're going to talk about exactly what that means. Why does this logo exist? Why do we have that logo? And we are joined today, as you said, by Elizabeth and Brad. This is a daughter-father team, a couple of volunteers. Elizabeth is coming to us from her dorm room in Alabama. Brad's coming to us from his home in Georgia. Thank you guys for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Let's start off with you, Elizabeth. Just kind of give everybody an overview, an idea. When we say Messengers of Peace, what does that mean to you?
Messengers of Peace to me means a global movement to promote peace worldwide. Now, that sounds really big, but we're already doing it. You're already doing this in your scouting programs. And so this is just a way to give it a little bit more recognition and bring more attention to it.
Awesome. Yeah, Scout troops, Cub Scout packs, venturing crews, Sea Scout ships are all doing service projects. You guys are probably all following the principles of Messengers of Peace. You maybe just don't realize it. Messengers of Peace is started with an organization called the World Organization of Scouting Movement. Did I say that right, Brad?
Right. Yes, correct.
What is that? What is WASM?
That is really the scouting movement that's all across the U.S. BSA is the United States portion of that, but there are 172 countries, I believe, that are a member of WASM. And so we are a part of a much larger organization. And that's one of the things that Messengers of Peace is trying to provide everybody, to let them know that BSA, Scouts BSA, is a part of a much larger organization.
So, Elizabeth, I have a question for you. Obviously, you must feel passionately about the mission from Messengers of Peace. How did you get started in working as a volunteer in Messengers of Peace specifically?
So when it came time to do my Eagle project, my crew advisor is Marsha Batish, and she is the Messengers of Peace lead for the BSA. So she explained to me what it was and showed me how my project falls right into it. And she really encouraged me to do it. And the more I watched her do it and listened to her talk about it, the more I got interested in it. And then I just started doing everything with it.
Aaron, did we bury the lead? Did we know that Elizabeth was an Eagle Scout?
We probably should have mentioned that sooner. Very, very cool. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, Gina. Appreciate that. And we might have a comment from Marsha. I'm not 100% sure, but she says she loves it. I love the hashtag too. I am Messenger of Peace. That term, that phrase, Messengers of Peace, correct, is like the most sort of romantic, pretty sounding program name for anything we do in the Boy Scouts of America. It's such a cool thing. I also want to point out real quick, Elizabeth and Brad, you guys are wearing matching neckerchiefs. Tell us what those mean, Elizabeth.
So these are the neckerchiefs that we got at the National Jamboree for working in the international exhibit. So Messengers of Peace was welcomed into the international tent at the Jamboree, and we worked alongside the Jamborees that will be happening in Poland and Iceland. And so this just represented what we were doing at the Jamboree.
Very, very cool.
I also just want to call out another shout out to Marsha. She is a source as well in a story that covers everything we're talking about today, and especially in terms of different Messengers of Peace awards. So be sure to check that out on Aaron on Scouting. But I have to ask, because probably our whole audience is wondering, hey, can I use that hashtag, I am a Messenger of Peace? Are all Scouts Messengers of Peace?
Yes, all Scouts are Messengers of Peace.
Why is that, Brad? Tell us why are Scouts considered Messengers of Peace?
Well, because we are all a part of the World Organization, the Scouting Movement, and as a part of that, we are all Messengers of Peace. A lot of the things that we do, the service projects that Messengers of Peace promotes, we're scouting is all about service, and Messengers of Peace is a portion of that, and highlights that in our mission.
So one thing that's great about the Messengers of Peace program is that as we've kind of hinted at, it gives scouts the idea that we're part of a much larger movement, right? You are more than just your unit, more than your district, more than your council, really even more than the BSA, right? It really is a worldwide movement, the World Organization of Scouting. And from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think we call these three things that I'm about to mention 3 dimensions of messengers of peace. There's a personal commitment, there's a community-based dimension, and there's also what we hope to be a collective result. Brad or Elizabeth, can you tell us about those things? Let's start about personal commitment. What does that mean, have a personal commitment?
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Okay. So a personal commitment is something that you are interested in doing. So of course, you're not going to just pick a project that means nothing to you. You're going to do something that you are interested in. So starting it with you and then moving it into the community.
So you know a little thing about picking a project, Elizabeth. Tell us about your Eagle Scout project.
So my Eagle Scout project was building wheelchair accessible picnic tables and benches for the special needs group that I work with at my high school. And so for that, we matched the SDG quality education. And for Messengers of Peace projects, we asked that you meet an SDG, one of the 17 sustainable developmental goals that were produced by the UN. So it started with me being passionate about working with special needs and bringing that into scouting.
Very, very cool. And we mentioned the second dimension. Am I using the right word? Is that right? Call it a dimension,
yes.
Guys. Community-based. That means that scouts are taking an active role in their own community, which obviously, again, a lot of units, most units already do that. What do we mean, Brad, by collective result? Tell us about that.
Collective results are when you're stepping even outside of the community and you're involving more organizations. And Elizabeth can tell you about her Messengers of Peace project that we conducted at National Jamboree. And that was collective results. That involved multiple organizations, including the Jamboree itself.
Yeah, so I want to get a little bit into how, Messengers of Peace projects are distinct potentially than the other projects you're working on, maybe in your program. But I want to read some comments first. Marcia added something perfectly said. By acting locally to have a global impact, you can be a messenger of peace. I love that. That's an easy way to look at it. And then Michael actually has a question. Michael, we'll get to that in just a second. Linnea commented saying she knows where the Messengers of Peace logo is on her uniform. She wears it as a ring on the left side of her uniform. Great. You got it. Nailed it. So everybody be sure to take a fresh eyes and look at your uniform and see that you are a messenger of peace. You're representing this wonderful group. So act accordingly.
And that's one of the things that we try to promote in our training is that, youth nowadays really wants to know that they're part of a global movement, not just a local movement. And so Messengers of Peace kind of promotes that yes, we are a part of a world movement that's across the planet. It's not just in your local community or in your local council.
I like that because I think if you're a leader and you're finding this confusing and you don't quite get how it factors in, talk to your youth because it really resonates with them. I think that they totally get it. Shout out to Troop 410. And then Michael's asking, will past project hours count towards the new awards or just moving forward? So on that note, can we talk about the awards? Aaron?
Yes.
Yeah.
So recently in June at the National Annual Planning Meeting, we implemented a new enhancement of the Messengers of Peace program. So there is the basic Messengers of Peace Award, which most people already have on their uniform. It's that purple ring that we wear on the left side. And then we've also put in 3 new awards, which there's the Champion, the Ambassador, and the Distinguished Service Project Award. So past projects can count from anything from June of last year. Since it was just implemented in June, we're going to date back a year before, and that'll count towards our new awards.
Great. Should have known, of course, that Elizabeth would be prepared to answer that question.
I know. I was like,
to be clear, yes. So to be clear, June, like 15 months ago, June, you're talking about anything done since then can count towards the current Messengers of Peace program. Do I understand that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Tell us a little bit more about the Jamboree, Brad. You guys kind of rolled out these enhancements there, and you also participated in a project, I think, right?
Correct. We kind of rolled it out as a part of our training, and in the international tent, we explained there were several people that already knew what Messengers of Peace was and had the basic award, but we wanted to explain to them that there are enhancements to that. And the biggest enhancements we see are it provides extra incentive because there are varying levels based on the magnitude of the project, and how many people it involves, how many service hours are involved, and it gives the youth and adults the opportunity to earn bigger, better, faster, types of awards. And Elizabeth, she had in addition to her Messengers of Peace project she had as an Eagle Scout, she came up with a project for the National Jamboree that was actually sending thank you cards to first responders. And we had those divided up into law enforcement, healthcare workers, and fire and EMS. And so we had participants that came through our tent. We also had participants that were part of the contingents doing thank you cards as a part of Russell Smart's the flood buckets. If anybody went to National Jamboree about that, we also had stations a couple of different places throughout Jamboree. But in doing that, we generated these cards. We had some pre-printed, front and back. It has a QR code that when the recipients, the first responders, get these, they can actually post on Facebook where they are, a picture of themselves and their cards that they got at their local fire station or hospital. But we were able to generate over 5,000 cards at Jamboree. And those cards we packaged up and sent back with staff. And as a matter of fact, all of the healthcare workers, we actually gave those cards to the medical workers that were there on staff that volunteered for the National Jamboree because they came from all over the world. So what better way to thank them personally, and they could take that back to their local clinics and hospitals. So with that, actually we had a lot of extra printed cards, and so we're continuing that project in some local areas in our council as well.
That's super cool. I want to follow up and talk a little bit about, at a local level, what can we do to put more focus on Messengers of Peace, but also I want to give a shout out to Omid. Thanks for tuning in, and say Michael is circling back and saying thank you for the response. He's looking forward to earning the other awards as well as a pack. That's very cool. I want to read John's comment. He had a good one. Oh, he said, in the Atlanta Area Council, the Council International Committee with the Religious Relationships Committee are preparing an informational launch leading to a weekend event. Very cool. So along this line, if we're not doing anything with Messengers of Peace at the local level, other than just wearing it on our uniforms and not really knowing what it means, how do we start drumming up some interest? I'll direct that to you, Brad.
Okay, I was going to say, I'll jump in there. By doing it's really service, and we all do service. So whether it's at Cub Scout packs, troops, OA events, and what we need to do is, and what we're trying to do is get the word out. So with like this program here, that Messengers of Peace can be incorporated into what we're already doing. So we're not really launching anything new as much as we're trying to make sure that people have awareness of what we're doing and how they can tie into their existing events. And like John Lyon had said, they have an event coming up. They're going to promote Messengers of Peace. We made several contacts at national from pack leaders, troop leaders, district and council level leaders that were asking, how can we incorporate this into our existing program? And we've been in touch with them. And if you go on the Messengers of Peace, our national website, under scouting.org, international, you will find a lot of helpful hints as to how you can implement those projects and the specifics of the awards that can be provided out. And that's also incentive for the youth. It's always more bling on their uniform. And so just like any scouting award, the first level is unrestricted. It's basically, that's the basic Messengers of Peace that hasn't changed. But the next two levels of ambassador and champion, those are restricted, which means that those you apply for, and it's a simple 2-page PDF to be filled out. Again, it's on the website, and submitted to your local council international committee for award. And it's not difficult, to get those awards. And then Elizabeth, do you want to talk about the Distinguished Service Award?
So the Distinguished Service Award is kind of similar to the Hero Award, which is a worldwide award that's given to projects that are amazing and did really good. So, but we'll be doing the Distinguished Service Award throughout the BSA, and there will only be 5 of those awarded per year by the International Committee. So those of you who think your project qualifies for this, was something that did met lots of the SDGs, made a good impact in your community, you can submit your application for the Distinguished Service Award, and the International Committee will be able to go through and pick out 5 of those who deserve it for the year.
And I just want to clarify maybe real quick if I could. An Eagle Scout project can be a Messengers of Peace project.
Correct.
We've
Yes.
established that Elizabeth was, as could, really any service project that you may already have planned. If you're when I was back in the old days, Brad, when I was a Cub Scout leader, we used to pick up trash every spring and fall, and then maybe once during the winter. That could be a Messengers of Peace project. What I like about these enhancements is that they're scalable, the right word, right? There's your sort of basic project that a lot of units are already doing, but then there's some incentive to maybe do one maybe a little more elaborate, right? A little more involved, a little more complex, put a little more time in it, and that's how you qualify for these more advanced awards. Am I summarizing that right?
Yes. So for me, my Eagle project counted as a Messengers of Peace project before the new enhancement, but the new enhancement is a great way to tie in with an Eagle project, the Summit Award for Venturing, or the Quartermaster Award for Sea Scouts, because they require a minimum amount of service hours, and most of those projects already meet those minimum service hours. My Eagle project was like 250 service hours, so I blew the 20 hours of service immediately. So it's really easy to just think about what service project you're already doing and just see if you meet an SDG. And if you do, you meet a Messengers of Peace project. It's just doing that extra 2-page application and submitting it to be able to get the award.
Yeah, and Katie Fisher asked a very good question of, can you tell, about the unit award? That is one of the enhancements, is that this can be awarded as a unit. So let's take, for example, Cub Scouts are doing most everything at, a pack or a den level. So as an example, if your pack is doing a service project, as long as 60% of the pack participates, then everyone that participated can be awarded that basic ring. And so it's done at the unit level, not at an individual level. So it's planned as a unit, it's awarded as a unit. And that really benefits, it can benefit all types of units, but it's great for Cub Scouts because most everything they do in mass.
Thanks for addressing that question. We've got a lot of good questions coming in, guys. Keep them coming. I also just want to say, but you guys let me know if I'm wrong. It seems like you could flip this as well. So we've talked about how you maybe already have planned projects and you're going to see if they meet an SDG, which is a sustainable development goal. And we can talk about where you can find that list of goals. But you could also know, hey, we're going to, as a unit, be trying to agree on a service project. Let's look at these sustainable development goals, and maybe one of those is going to jog my memory or jog my mind for an idea, and we can pursue that. I think somebody was saying in the comments, they're trying to think of how do I get these SDGs to resonate with my scouts? I think that might be a way.
Yeah, and there is a movement, Scouts for SDGs, and what that is really is a movement that is just to that. It is inspiring scouts for the sustainability development goals. And Scouts BSA is actually including SDGs in their ongoing programs, such as Merit Badge program is going to be updated so that it includes SDGs as a part of each one of the merit badges, one of the 17. Elizabeth is actually on a working group at the national level to include SDGs in Scouts BSA programs. So there's a lot of commonality, and Jenny, you bring up a good point that as long as you're looking at those goals put out by the United Nations, that can maybe, like you say, jog your memory as to how come up with some ideas that can incentivize those.
The big thing is we're already doing things with the SDGs. Most service projects meet at least one or a couple of them. So it's really just pulling up the big PDF file that shows you all 17 and just actually sitting down and saying oh, my project meets this SDG. Because picking up trash around a lake is making sure that life below water is better and also life above land. And that's 2 of the SDGs.
I'm going to drop a link, thanks to Marsha, that I have, where you can see all of the SDGs, and I imagine that they could potentially change over time. So maybe saving something like this can keep those front of mind for you. You can use it as a resource. But I do have some breaking news, Aaron.
Yes.
There are 2 Eagle Scouts on screen right now.
Yeah, someone named Karen has left a very interesting comment. I don't know if you guys know that person.
Yeah.
Karen, I hope you saw your daughter roll her eyes just there. Yes, Karen, thank you for watching, and we are honored to have them on our show. Thank you, Karen, for loaning them to us here for a half an hour or so. We have Elizabeth and Brad for just a few more minutes. I do want to talk about one more thing, guys. Well, not necessarily one more thing. There, according to your website, the Messengers of Peace website, there are 4 steps to becoming a messenger of peace. And I love behind the scenes, Brian just showed the graphic. Maybe you could put it up again, Brian, if you don't mind. I love the idea of how it goes in a circle. If you're looking at that going, where do I start? Well, there's a good reason for that. That's because it goes in a circle and it's continuous. It doesn't ever really start or certainly doesn't necessarily really end at any point. But let's just say, for example, inspire. Elizabeth, give me an example. What are we talking about there when we say inspire?
Inspire is going back to your unit and encouraging other people to do it, showing them that you're wearing the ring and they could be wearing the ring too, and inspire them to learn more about the program and try it out for themselves.
Awesome. Yeah. So once a unit or a group of scouts has been inspired, the next thing they would need to do would be to learn more about that topic or that project or that maybe a problem or something like that, and decide what they want to do. Am I summarizing that right, Brad?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. That is the next step. And once you decide what to do, then then it's do it.
Yep.
And that's the project itself. And then and you can also use as an example, what we did at National Jamboree. That's sharing. Share your experience, and again, that sharing hopefully starts the cycle again of inspiring others to learn and decide and do and share and inspire. And it just it's not a one and done. It is a continual progress, and hopefully that's how we're getting the message spread. And again, it's based on service, and this spreads geometrically.
Y'all are certainly wonderful advocates for this, because I'm thinking just on today's show, you've shared, you've inspired, and you've helped us learn. I think we're in that kind of deciding phase potentially if we're watching this and considering what can we do as scouts or in our unit. And then of course you got to get there and do it, which I know every scout and scouter out there is an expert at that. Scott has a question. Does a messenger of peace have to be a standalone, or messenger of peace project, I think, have to be a standalone project fully organized by the scouts, or could scouts participate in larger community service events like a food gathering, I guess, to earn their service hours? Does that make sense? So could you join on to another community service project and count that?
I think you probably could. A local example here is Lake Lanier Association. It's a very large man-made lake. They have shore sweep every year. But a lot of packs and a lot of troops participate in shore sweep. We've had one local troop that has been participating for over 20 years in a row. So if that is a pack organized, yes, you're supporting another larger community. Again, that's a part of the collective of being a part of a larger community organization, but the pack or the troop is doing their part. So yes, that could be a Messenger of Peace project for your participation in the larger community project.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's you need to probably be doing it on behalf of scouts or as a scout or with your unit, but the whole idea is that we're participating in worldwide initiatives, not just we planned this one off. So yeah, I think that was a great way to put it.
Absolutely.
And you also, guys, mentioned that in order to apply for the higher Messenger of Peace Awards, there's a very simple PDF. That's in the link to their website. It's also in the link to the blog post that Brian will put up there in a second. But I just want to just clarify that real quick. That application goes to your local council. It does not go to Elizabeth and Brad. Is that right?
Correct.
It goes to your international representative at your council level.
Yep. So I think that's interesting. Again, it kind of brings it back to the Messengers of Peace is an international program. You might not realize that picking up trash in your neighborhood, that's part of a global Messengers of Peace effort. I just love that's really cool. Your council has an international committee or program or volunteers. I guess the best way for people to find that would be just to contact their local council. Is that what you guys recommend?
Correct, and they should have an international representative, within their local council. I want to throw out a number that was very impressive to us, and it's in the training. Is since Messengers of Peace has been organized, we think about Eagle Scout service projects, and your councils track that and all that. But Messengers of Peace has put in worldwide almost 3 billion. That's billion with a B. 3 billion service project hours since its inception.
That is astounding and unbelievable. And also, Aaron, something just dawned on me. We've had a lot of Trek on Tuesdays. We have a fair amount of international viewers, who aren't part of the Boy Scouts of America. They're part of other scouting programs. I don't think we've ever really talked about something that they can participate in too.
There you go. Exactly.
Today we have.
Yes. Yeah. Omid and all you folks watching overseas. Yeah, this is a program for the whole world. Yeah, I agree, Omid. Thank you.
Yeah, finally it paid off. I want to turn it over to you for closing thoughts and everybody, but and we've got a ton of great comments. Marsha's added in through over 2.7 billion service hours by millions of young people worldwide. I think that's the beauty of this being a worldwide effort. These numbers get very, very high. We're talking about lots of service hours, obviously.
And I want to shout out to Marsha for answering a lot of questions in the comments. Marsha is a trusted source. So thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you doing that very much. I do want to point out a quick comment from Linnea. She said that she thinks she can use some of this as a citizenship in the society merit badge counselor. That's awesome. Very, very cool. I think you guys were kind of mentioning earlier how it's sort of becoming incorporated into the Scouts BSA and other programs. That's very, very cool. Somebody else in the comments before we let you guys go asked a question. I just want to clarify. Do you need, for example, for the Distinguished Conservation Award and for maybe like an Eagle Scout project, you usually have like an advisor, right? Is there a Messenger of Peace advisor position? Does that exist?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Again, that's go back to your international representative, in your local council. And then we have a general information, mailbox that you've provided a link to, and we can track that down for you. But yes, there's not an official, advisor position per se at this point. It's your international representative in your council.
Unlike an Eagle project where you have to get approval beforehand and you have to set up upon a board, Messengers of Peace is really, if you do it and you think it qualifies, you submit an application to your council and they approve it. It's not a before approval, not a pre-approval.
That's a good clarification. There's no pre-approval required.
Excellent clarification.
That also brings top of mind for me something else. So I'm thinking, I worked with a venturing crew and we had quite a few scouts who'd earned Eagle, and honestly were kind of like losing their engagement with scouting. They were just kind of over it. But then as they were introduced to world scouting and understanding that it was this worldwide movement, they had this invigoration and just desire to, be pen pals and just work for the greater movement. And they had an interest in Messengers of Peace, which I don't really think they talked about a whole lot since they joined scouting. So Messengers of Peace is for everybody in scouting. Talk about it with obviously your Cub Scouts, but if you have older scouts, this might be a way to kind of re-engage them in your troop, I would think.
Correct. Yes. Especially like I said, the youth that's wanting to have a global impact, and the older youth programs, venturing Sea Scouts, those are certainly candidates for kind of reviving that interest in the scouting program is through Messengers of Peace.
Yeah, that is awesome. I just want to clarify real quick before we let you guys go. There's the basic Messengers of Peace Award. The next one up is called the Champion Award. Then there's the Ambassador Award. There's also a Unit Award. What is a Messengers of Peace Heroes? Can you guys tell me what that is?
So the Hero Award is a worldwide award. I believe there are 10 of those that are given out by WSM, World Organization of Scouting Movement. So that isn't something that the U.S. decides on. That's the WSM comes together and looks at projects that have been submitted. There's hundreds that are submitted, and then chooses out of those. So we've had people win the Hero Award who created prosthetic arms from reused like parts and pieces. A little boy who did buddy benches with recyclable bottle caps for his elementary school. So just projects that go above and beyond and are recognized for that at the global level.
That's pretty big time to be a Messengers of Peace hero.
Yeah.
So something to aspire to maybe. I also want to point out real quick, there's a section on the Messengers of Peace website about reporting service hours. It's done through Internet Advancement. I don't think that's anything different. That's been around for a while,
Correct.
I think, right,
Yes.
guys? So you can report your service hours for your Messengers of Peace projects the same way you would any other service project. Guys, what a great discussion this has been. Anything else that we need to share with our audience about, we'll call it the enhanced Messengers of Peace program, because it's not an entirely new program. It's not an entirely reboot. It's an enhanced program version of what we already had. Anything else, any other messages we want to convey to our viewers?
I think we've covered most everything. I would encourage everyone to look at the website. There are a couple of videos on there. There are a lot of materials that you can use within your unit to help promote Messengers of Peace, and there's also some good guidance as to how the program operates that we haven't covered here.
And now that you've learned about it, you can share and inspire with others.
Hopefully this video maybe will inspire some folks, right, Gina?
Hope so.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. This video will be here after we're live today. So feel free again to, stick this in an email, stick it on a web page, use it so you can inspire others, play that part in that little circle. It's a sharing and
I always like it in the comments when I see somebody tag a friend, and I've seen a few folks do that. Never a more appropriate time to do that than for this video. So thanks to those who did that. We appreciate that. Elizabeth and Brad, thank you guys for joining us today. This has been great.
It's our pleasure. It's you can tell we get excited when people are asking about it and we get to spread the word.
Well, you guys both did awesome. Gina, you did awesome as always. Special shout out to behind the scenes Brian. Thank you guys for watching. Scott, in the comments, thank you for watching. I appreciate that, man. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Be a messenger of peace. Look into it. It's worth doing. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.